Can you hear me if you are out there? Okay, well, see if anyone joins in. I'm going to answer a couple questions I got. One was from Skip Mulligan. That was just from a little bit ago. No and no. I've never heard of that band and I've never been to that festival. So, but Mikey asked what my perfect 18 song set list would be from Metallica live. And I'd have to go with the one they played in Seattle. It was pretty perfect. It was Hardwired to Self-Destruct to open up, Atlas Rise, For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Memory Remains, The Unforgiven, Now That We're Dead, Moth into Flame, Wherever I May Roam, Halo on Fire, Whiplash, Sad But True, One, Master of Puppets, Fade to Black, Seek and Destroy. The encore was Battery, Nothing Else Matters, and Enter Sandman. Now, I'm kind of sick of hearing Enter Sandman, but it is their most popular song. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on going. Let's see. If anyone's out there, can you hear me? This is only the second time I've ever tried to go live, so anyway, I'm on my way from Sacramento to the Bay Area to Shoreline Amphitheater to see the Black Crowes tonight. That's what I'm doing. And there were 3 topics I wanted to discuss mainly. It was Karens, if you know what that means. Working as a security guard in a music venue, and let's see, the Black Crowes, because that's who I'm going to see. So I guess I will start driving, and if it gets too difficult to drive, I will pull over. So I had a run-in with a Karen a couple days ago. In case you don't know what a Karen is, it's a very entitled older white lady who thinks that, you know, she can't do any wrong, and she always complains and wants to see the manager and, you know, stuff like that. But so I was in line at an In-N-Out. That's a burger it's a burger or fast food place here in California and a couple other states. But yeah, so I pulled in to the drive-thru, and there was someone at the speaker placing their order, and behind them, about 20 feet back behind them, was a lady in a SUV, and she was off to the side, and I didn't know what she was doing. I pulled up behind her, and she obviously saw me, and she didn't move or anything. So I kind of like crept up a few inches next to her, and she made some kind of motion with her hand. So I was like, oh, okay, she wants me to go by. I thought, you know, maybe her car's broken or something. And so I started to drive in front of her, and she honked her horn and said, hey! She rolled down the window, and I was like, whoa, what? And she's like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, go if you're gonna go. And then she started flipping me off, and she started doing this, the motion where like, like sucking a you-know-what, and then pointing at me. And she was like doing this and being really vulgar and cussing at me and stuff. And I was trying to keep my cool. And she kept doing that, you know, with her tongue in her cheek. And then, so I rolled down my window and I said, no thanks, lady. You're too old and too ugly for me. And that shut her up. But it just reminded me of the other times I've had trouble with Karens. It was oh gosh, let's see. The one before that, I was driving at night to pick up a pizza I ordered, and there was a turn in for a bus and then the turn in for the parking lot, and it was so dark that I couldn't see that it was just for the bus to pull in. So that's what I pulled in, thinking I was pulling into the parking lot, and this lady was speeding right behind me. She was right on my butt, and she started honking her horn a lot because I pulled in the wrong spot. And when I pulled into the parking lot, finally she got out. She's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Well, it was dark, I couldn't see, And she was just so bold, considering she was by herself and it was at night. I mean, if she met someone with a temper, she probably could have gotten knocked out if the way she was yelling at me. And then there was one time I was making a delivery. I worked for Amazon Flex, and I was in a gated community, and the gate wouldn't open to let me out. And so me and this other person were trying to get out, and the gate wouldn't open. So I tried driving in close and backing up and driving in a different, angle to see if I could trigger something to make the gate open, and nothing was working. And I guess this lady who lives there, go figure, an older white lady, she started honking her horn at me and telling, "Get out of the way. Do you know how to get out of the way?" And I was like, let me think. I guess so. And I was just going really slow, and she's like, "Well, thank you." And then she opened the gate, and it's not my fault the gate wasn't opening. It was just her junky community she lived in. And I took my time going out of the gate, and I almost made it close on her car. And then the last time I had to run into the entitled old white lady was when I saw Metallica in Seattle. At the end of the show, they throw out a ton of picks into the crowd, guitar picks, and I jumped to grab one, and I didn't feel like I touched anyone. But this lady, she started punching me in the back and punching me in the head, and I turned around, I was like, "What the?" And it was just this old white lady punching me. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And I pushed her away from me. She's like, "You knocked me over." I was like, "No, I didn't." She's like, "Yes, you did." And I was right in front of one of the security guards, and I was like, "You see this? You gonna let her keep doing this?" And so they finally told her to knock it off. But I didn't. If I did knock her down, I would have apologized if I knew about it. But I didn't touch anyone as far as I knew. So yeah, that's my Karen story. And since I'm going to see Chris Robinson, one of the Robinson brothers of the Black Crowes tonight, I'm going to talk about when I worked at a security job at this club called Ace of Spades in Sacramento. So I saw him there, and he was the first person I saw that I was starstruck for. Like everyone else, they were like, "That's cool," but they knew how much I loved Chris Robinson and the Black Crowes, and so they let me stand on the stage for most of the show while he was performing, and it was awesome. And I never really got into the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, his band after the Black Crowes, because I'm not into jam bands, and I don't want to go there and just have him play 3 hours of songs I don't know and one obscure Black Crowes song if I was lucky. So, but it was still awesome being that close to him while he was performing. I saw the Black Crowes in the year 2000 or 2001 in Vegas, because Oasis and the Black Crowes were touring together, called the Tour of Brotherly Love, and it was amazing. The band Space Hog was supposed to be there also, but for some reason they weren't there. And yeah, Noel came out and played a song with the Black Crowes at the end, and the Black Crowes headlined because they were in America, and if they were in Europe, obviously Oasis would headline. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, this club called Ace of Spades in Sacramento. It's probably my favorite place to see a show anywhere, because it's always general admission, and which means you can get as close as you want as long as you get there early. So I've seen a ton of great bands up close at that venue, and I saw that they were hiring for security guards, and at first I was a little hesitant because I was like, I'm not big enough to be a security guard, I don't think. But then I remember there were some clubs I've been to where there were guys who were smaller than me who I could have taken. So I just figured, why not? You know, it might be fun. And this is what I envisioned working at a club, that I'd be able to meet all the bands I wanted to meet and take pictures with them, and I'd have the coolest Instagram ever, you know. But no, that's not how it worked. The manager told me absolutely no pictures, and try not to bother the artists if I can help it. So I was like, oh man, that sucks. But the good thing was I could go to most shows for free if it was my day off, and I could get some of my friends into almost any show as long as it wasn't sold out. And so, you know, I went ahead and applied, and I did really good with the interview. And the one topic I could talk about for hours, and I was like, music. And I'm not just saying that because I want to work at a music venue, but I love music. I'm really, really passionate about it. Most of my tattoos are music related. And so I think I did really good in the interview. And I was on vacation in Hawaii, in Maui, and I got a phone call saying that I got the job. And they told me the first day I was going to start working. And it just happened to be on the day that I bought concert tickets months before to see Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He was the genius behind the band. And I told her I paid $1,000 for these 2 tickets. So I'm going to have to decline the job because I need to go to this concert. And I'm really sorry, and thank you for the opportunity. But she's like, no, we can reschedule for a different night. And I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. So the first night I went was, it was this metal band called something like Cattle Decapitation or something like that. And I was kind of worried because obviously it was going to be a rough crowd, and I didn't know what to expect anyway. But the people who worked there told me that this is what they told me, that the worst crowds to watch were at rap concerts. It's like, okay. And so, yeah, I made it through that first show, and there was one time I thought there was going to be a riot because Snoop Dogg was supposed to be, he was doing a DJ set, but he was going to be there on a stage playing records. I don't know if he was going to, how much of a show he was going to put on, but the place was packed, and I guess he canceled about an hour before he was supposed to go on stage because the people who put on the show, it wasn't Ace of Spades, it was through some other company, and he demanded to be paid in cash, $9,000, and they did not come through. So he's like, F it, I'm not going on. And we had to tell the crowd that he wasn't going to be there that night. And they called in some extra police just in case, but it was pretty peaceful. So there was it was mainly I was babysitting people. It felt like I was babysitting adults because there were so many people who would get drunk and pass out upstairs in the lounge area, and I'd have to wake them up and tell them if they couldn't sleep there, they had to leave if they couldn't stay awake. And this was when well, I guess marijuana's, you can't really smoke it in public places, even though it's legal in California. But especially back then, before it was even legal, people would always smoke marijuana in the club, and we'd have to take it, put it out, and throw them out. And there were many times I had to threaten people, you know, that I'd have to kick them out. And this one time, this guy begged me not to, and so I felt bad for him, and I didn't throw him out. But I only saw a couple fights. One of our security guards got a bloody nose one time, and the second biggest guy, he had to pick this guy up and throw him outside of the venue. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. Yeah, for the most part, people were at least nice. But I remember when Chris Robinson was actually playing, he specifically told the venue that he didn't want people taking video or pictures. And when artists did that, we had to really be on it to stop people from doing that. And when I wasn't by the stage, I saw this lady, she had her flash on filming, and I had to put my hand in front of it and tell her, can you please turn it off? Chris specifically asked us to keep people from filming and taking pictures. And she's like, what? And then her husband was this huge bodybuilder. He was like 4 times my size. And he just went, shh, to me. And I was like, you, if I was anywhere near your size, man, I'd meet you outside. But he was way too big for that. And then one time, my boss, his name was Bubba, I think. He was like 6'8", 300 pounds. This huge guy. We were trying to clear people out after the show was over. One of the shows was over, and he told me to get this guy out of the certain area that was, roped off. And so I walked up to him, and he was a little bit smaller than me, but I walked up and I was like, hey man, can you move past this line here? My boss wants people to start clearing out. And he's like, why are you doing this to me? Why don't you ask that other guy to leave? I'm going to. I have to get to you first. And he started getting all huffy and puffy with me, and I thought I was gonna have to fight him, which is the last thing I want to do, considering I've never been in a fight. But there, I did get to see some cool shows that I wouldn't have paid to see. Like Puddle of Mud, I got to see. And who else? Oh, I got to talk to Too Short, the rapper. I've been a fan of his since I was a kid, believe it or not. And I was on the side of the stage, and one of his, I guess this guy who knew him was trying to get on stage with him, and I wouldn't let him on because, I didn't know he was with him or not. So when in between songs, I motioned over to Too Short and I was like, hey man, this guy wants to get on stage. Do you know him? He's like, yeah, he's with me. So I was like, oh, cool. So I let him on stage, and now I can say I've had a conversation with Too Short. But it was a cool job for the most part. It was pretty easy and laid back. A lot of the times I sat by the door and had a little clicker, and I'd count the people who were going in and out, or going in anyway, so we'd have a count of how many. But I had to quit that job because my wife got laid off from her job, and the trouble in paradise was that this job didn't pay much. My main job was always, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, 4 years, has been Amazon Flex, and I do pretty good with that. And so I had to quit the Ace of Spades job so I could work more hours at Amazon so I could make more money. So that was the end of that. But yeah, it was cool. I don't know if I would ever do that again. Like I said, it wasn't very much fun babysitting adults. But I'm glad I did the job for a little while. I think I worked there 6 months. And that is that. Let's see where I'm at. I'm still in Sacramento. So I'm going to talk about the Black Crowes. Let's see. There was a time after they put their second album out that they were my favorite band of all time. I loved Shake Your Moneymaker, and that's the album they're going to be performing tonight. And I loved the second album, the Southern Harmony Companion long titled album. To me, those albums are sacred. So, of course, there's no way I would miss this show. And yeah, like I said, I saw them in Vegas. That was the only time. I saw Rich Robinson's band. He's the guitar player, and he had a band called it was called the Magpie Salute. And I actually saw him for free at Ace of Spades because I worked there. It was my night off, and I requested that night off so I could go see him and go in for free. And it was so cool. I don't know if you're familiar with the Black Crowes, but they have a song called By Your Side. And Rich Robinson he started the guitar riff, and seriously, my head exploded. I was so happy. It was one of the happiest times I've ever been in a concert. And it wasn't Chris Robinson singing it, but it was his singer. But I loved it. I loved every second. That night I got 4 guitar picks from Rich. I was being selfish and kept them. I could have handed them out, but screw it. And yeah, there was a guy wearing a Chris Robinson Brotherhood shirt in the crowd, and people were pointing at him, and Rich saw it, and he's like, you know what, Chris is a good man. And I was like, whoa. I was expecting him to trash the guy for wearing a Chris Robinson shirt. That's what gave me hope that someday they might actually reform. Yeah, it looks like there isn't anyone on. So I've been going 21 minutes so far. I answered my questions. I talked about Karen's. I talked about my job at Ace of Spades. I talked about my love of the Black Crows. So I guess that's it. I was hoping there'd be someone on who could chat with me. I guess not. It's a weird time, and I'm not anyone special, so I wouldn't expect anyone to be on because I told them I was going to be on. And I'm doing this so I could get monetized, hopefully soon. I'm about 50 hours away from being monetized. I need 4,000 watch hours within 1 year to be monetized, and I need 50 more hours. So I was hoping to eat up some of that time with this live stream, but if no one's gonna be on, well, what can you do? I guess I will have to end this, and I guess going live isn't for me. Last time I went live, there were at least 2 people on, but it was at night. And I know some people said that they apologized because they couldn't make it, and they'd probably watch the video. So, Mikey, I'm talking to you. Hopefully you'll be able to watch this. I am in West Sacramento now. I'm going to Shoreline Amphitheater. I think it's in Concord. It's somewhere in the Bay Area by Palo Alto, where Apple has their headquarters. I thought about going to the Palo Alto, one of the cemeteries in Palo Alto where Steve Jobs is buried, but he has an unlisted stone. So no one really knows exactly where it is. They just know it's in that cemetery. But if I knew where it is, I was doing a little research today, I'd probably go try to, I don't know, go by the graveyard. I don't know why. I used to drive by Kurt Cobain's house when I lived in Seattle all the time. Again, I don't know why. I just did. It was fun. So, but it looks like, oh yeah, I'm wearing a Metallica shirt. Gotta represent my band. They're probably gonna be a bunch of hippies tonight. I'm glad that they specifically said that they're not gonna go into long jams on this tour. They're just gonna stick to how the songs were in the studio, which I'm glad, because I can't stand that hippie 45-minute jam songs like Fish and those bands make my skin crawl. But I expect it to be a good show. I've seen some YouTube clips of the band on this tour, and they sound good. Chris sounds happy, and he's one of those artists who they don't like to rehash the old stuff. they like to keep moving forward, but I love the fact that they're doing this album. Maybe they'll do the second one also, if we're lucky. And if you don't know the Black Crowes, good song to start out with is the first song on their first album called Twice as Hard, and By Your Side off the album called By Your Side. It's really good. And on the second album there's a song called Bad Luck, Blue Eyes, Goodbye. And Thorn in My Pride would probably be my favorite song from the Black Crowes. It's just amazing. But the whole first and second album, there's no filler in it whatsoever. But, well, I think I've droned on long enough. I'm gonna end this. And if you happen to watch this, thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.